Howdy, y'all. Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. Today is November 30th, 2021. I'm Trey Crowder, and that's Mark Agee. What's up, Mark?
Nothing, Trey. Just been reading about Omicron and can't help but think about Futurama every time I hear the word. Do you watch
Yeah.
Futurama?
Oh, hell yeah. I love Futurama.
Yeah, yeah.
My sons have now watched the entire series of Futurama, and Katie wasn't super into that, but they loved it. Yeah, she walked in one day and Zach Brannigan was really, doing his thing. And she was like, "What are they watching?" And I was like, "Shh, don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine."
Yeah. It's quality father. I like it was extremely funny to me that like everybody immediately got mad at South Africa. Like South Africa apparently has just a really well developed public health infrastructure. So all they did was notice it. They did
Yeah,
not create it. They just observed it and said, "Hey guys, there's a new variant." Everybody's like, "Fuck!" It. But here on Earth, what we don't do is try to solve a problem when it comes up. We just blame the guy who noticed it. That's what we do. It's always,
for sure. Yes, the new South
uh,
Africa flu we're gonna have now.
yeah, yeah. Do you know? We talked about this before. Do you know why the Spanish flu is called the Spanish flu? I didn't know this backstory, but it's pretty
I
funny.
know that it's like it actually started in Kansas, right? But it
I
was
think,
called
yeah.
Spanish flu
And
for
it,
racist reasons or something. I don't
well,
remember.
all the world's Western free countries were under wartime press blackouts. And for example, the American government didn't want people to know that more American troops are dying of the flu than of battlefield deaths.
Right.
So nobody acknowledged it. France, Germany, England. But Spain wasn't in the war, so like, holy shit, there's a terrible flu, and everybody's like, that's a you guys thing, man.
Right.
Not
Yeah. You guys
we
heard
ain't
about
got
the
that.
Spanish flu?
So we're gonna do that with South Africa now. It's like they're always the
It's
same
also
shit.
funny how with like even years after knowing that is the case, like it's just still the Spanish flu. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like once
yeah,
something gets decided, that's just the way that it is. No matter how many times it's disproven or whatnot. We're like, no, we already learned the thing once. We're not going to try to unlearn or relearn something. That ain't how we operate. We're just going to
yeah,
keep. It's fine the way we know it to be. That's just fine with us. So that's the way it's going to continue to be.
yeah. I mean, I've never really thought of myself. I don't think the name Mark suits me really, but my mom decided that years back, so I'm Mark now. I just go with it, right? I don't know.
I think
Uh,
you're like classic Mark. You're always marking it up. You're a fantastic Mark, in my opinion. One of my favorite Marks,
See,
honestly.
to me, maybe it's because of TV, but like characters named Mark are always the kind of guys who like wear scarves and carry around moleskin notebooks, and I was like, I don't know if that's me. But in good news, Amazon got busted for rigging their union election in Alabama that we talked about a couple months back, and so they're going to get another election. So that's cool. There were a couple decent labor wins since last we spoke. The John Deere factory, we talked about them.
Hmm.
They won their strike. There was a fast food place that won there. It's been good. Just
Yeah,
rooting for everybody. Yeah.
right. Labor's kind of, yeah, they've had some W's lately,
Mhm.
right? Like there's a little bit of, good news to be acknowledged there. I mean, it's still,
Yeah.
people are still
When
getting
you're,
fucked over, working people, and always will
yeah.
be to some degree. But got to take it where you can get it in terms of bright spots.
Oh, before we get into the show, if you're following this isn't really a bright spot. This is the exact opposite, but the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. Uh,
No, I mean I know that it has like started, and I'm been gearing up for some serious insanity, but I haven't really checked in on it yet. What's going on?
Well, they had their first couple witnesses, and open arguments were typical. The defense attorney did the typical "these are just money grubbing lying whores," sort of thing. Even though the defendant's a woman, so that's I'm not quite sure how that's going to play out.
Right, but
But
she's not money grubbing or lying, or a whore. You see,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where she differs from these other people, and
yeah,
according to her defense
yeah.
attorneys, some key distinctions there.
The
She's just a regular lady,
yeah, yeah, just a perfectly normal lady who hung out with
totally
Jeffrey Epstein and all
average,
that stuff.
typical
Yeah,
lady. Yeah,
he just said her dad was a Mossad double agent, just a perfectly normal background. Just fucking, yeah. So the one thing that jumped out at me was like the pilot of the Lolita Express testified about the high profile people that flew on the plane, and he named a bunch of people: Prince Andrew, Trump, Bill Clinton, people always Kevin
yeah.
Spacey, a bunch of very normal dudes when it comes to sex stuff. And the one that jumped out at me, John Glenn. I was like,
The
why?
astronaut.
Yeah, he's been to fucking space, and he's like, oh, still,
Well,
yeah.
damn. Well, that's
Yeah.
hate to hear that. That's a bummer.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, shit's America functioning normally.
There you go. Yeah, business as usual. Okay, so with us as always, producer Matt. This is Weekly Skews. First, I want to remind you if you're vaccinated and want to see me live, you can go to wellreadcomedy.com for tickets. We'll be in New Orleans this Friday, Naples, Florida next weekend, and then right before Christmas, some homecoming shows at Zany's in Nashville. It's going to be a good time. Come see us. For the show tonight, we have some dumbassery deep dives for you. Mike Flynn has angered the QAnon world by saying stuff that makes sense for once, namely that QAnon is, in his estimation, silly bullshit. Also, Lauren Boebert's still out there trashing it up now by workshopping some new Islamophobic material she's got aimed at Ilhan Omar. And a little later, Mark's going to take us through a Tampa area GOP congressional primary that's insane, even by Florida standards. All that and more on tonight's Weekly Skews. But first, as always, the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, Santa Claus. That's right, old Kris Kringle himself for being a lazy-ass welfare queen. Let's hear it from Fox News. Play the clip, Matt.
Thanks to a growing shortage of Santas, HireSanta.com reports a 10% decrease in Santas this year versus a year ago, despite a 121% increase in demand. Mitch Allen's the head elf at HireSanta.com. He came dressed for the part. He's live in Fort Worth. Mitch, nice to see you. I saw the story and I said, man, even Santa doesn't want to work in this economy. That's not really the case. Tell me what you're up against.
Well, the demand this year, as everyone is seeing this reopening trade, everyone wants to get back to normal. They weren't able to see their family or friends last year. Well, they're wanting to this year, and they're wanting to have Santa be part of it. Here at Hire Santa, we help brands associate themselves with Christmas, and we're seeing demand through the roof, over 120% over pre-pandemic levels, and yet we've lost a number of Santas over the last year and a half.
Thanks, Joe Biden. How about that? Can't even got no goddamn Santa Clauses out here anymore. I want to ask Mark, he says at the end, demand's up over 120%, but we've lost a lot of Santas in the past year and a half. Is he talking about Santa dying from COVID? Is that what's happened? Is that why Santa numbers are down? They do present some comorbidities. I mean, I don't want to be, negative here, but come on.
Yeah. I mean, when you, you live on cookies and candy canes, it comes with a few extra health risks. Plus he smokes a pipe. At least he used to in the old commercials. Then they drop a pipe. I don't know. The Coca-Cola Santa used to have a pipe, right?
I'm certain he no longer has the pipe. They surely had to, the woke mob, they came for Santa's pipe, Mark. That's what happened. Santa's pipe got canceled.
It really hit me when he said even Santa doesn't even want to work in this economy, which is just like, I just can't, like it. I don't. They keep bumping up against the idea of we need to draft people into jobs they don't want to do.
Right. Like, I wonder how much Santas get paid. You know what I mean? Like, does Santa make a living wage? Who's to say nothing of his poor elves? I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, they don't get paid for shit. They should unionize, by the way.
They should.
Santa trying to crush a union movement would be pretty perfect.
Yeah.
There's a lot going. First of all, like, I hate when news does this, but like the guy from HireSanta.com has a vested interest in telling people that he can charge more for Santas because there's fewer of them. He also has a vested interest in letting people know about his company, which sells Santa's services, right? So they're just taking this guy's word for it about Santa demand being through the roof. So you better get your order in now from HireSanta.com. It's just like, why is this a fucking news story? I don't.
They're just bending over for big Santa, man. That's what's happening. Big corporate Santa. You think we've talked before about like if things that we've always had and take for granted were proposed now, that the maniacal right would be incensed at the mere notion of them, like fire departments and things like that, because it would be socialist. Do you think that would happen if Santa Claus, if he didn't exist and just now came about? Because we're the ones who engage in a war on Christmas, right? That's us who are trying to kill Santa Claus. They love Santa Claus, but it seems like Santa is a bit of a goddamn socialist. I mean, you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, kids, rich or poor, get presents.
Right.
Usually
they don't work for them,
No.
Like he just gives them out to anybody. Fucking nothing but handouts. That's Santa's whole thing is handouts,
participation trophies. That's what he's
That's
giving out.
right. Yeah.
I don't. If
But he does kind of have slaves, so they'd probably be down with that.
Yeah,
that part
that
would
is
for them.
Yeah, they would like that. I will say this: if in the world you're presupposing where there weren't mall Santas, or let's say Joe Biden tried to solve this problem by setting up some sort of Tennessee Valley Authority for mall Santas, and having a jobs program where he sent a Santa who was took an unemployed guy, turned him into a Santa, and sent him to every mall in America, a bunch of different guys, different malls. They would say this is Joe Biden sending a pedophile army to demand your kids sit in their laps, right?
Right, for sure.
So yeah, you can't solve these people's these pathologies. They're just like they're moving targets, man. I don't know it's just a bunch of lunacy.
Yeah, but it's not entirely nonsensical to hear them tell it again. We've been engaged in a decades-long war on Christmas now. Us on the American left have. I myself, 3-tour veteran of the war on Christmas. But it's not just Christmas that we are coming for, Mark. Let's hear from Lara Trump on that general subject.
A lot more than that.
Clip.
But it's everything, Pete. Everything costs more now. So it's not just the turkey. And to piggyback off of something that Monica just said there, she was spot on. They have told us from the beginning that they want to fundamentally transform America. Well, how do you do that? You have to change America from the inside out. You have to take away our traditions. So it might seem a little funny and a little ridiculous. Oh, don't have a turkey, then people won't come over. Where last year, remember, they didn't even want us to get together. So I guess we're lucky they're letting us have Thanksgiving this year.
We should thank
them. At really the core of this, they want to divide Americans up. They don't want us to have any common ground. They don't want us to have any shared traditions like Thanksgiving. A lot of places last month actually did away with Halloween because they wanted to be inclusive of the people that didn't celebrate Halloween. We know that's a very, very small group of people. Halloween is a great occasion for the kids to get candy and dress up. But it all goes to fundamentally transforming this country. And the way you do that is you make sure that we have no commonality whatsoever, no traditions as Americans whatsoever. You start chipping away at that. And they don't care that Thanksgiving costs a lot more, whether you're driving to somebody's house this year, paying for all that food on the table. They don't care. Joe Biden is certainly very happy right now where he is for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do take issue with the fact.
First of all, as a satanic witch,
right,
Halloween hits for me. I love Halloween.
I was about to say, dude, acting like we hate Halloween. Halloween is of the devil. There was a thing recently. Katie came in and told me that she was pissed off because Hobby Lobby didn't have no Halloween stuff. I'm an extremely white woman I have married. I guess she can't always go to Target, Mark. Every now and then you go somewhere else. So she went to Hobby Lobby and she was mad because they had no Halloween stuff whatsoever. And I guess if you look it up on the internet, there's at least like speculation. I don't know if they put out a statement or whatever, but it's like, because Hobby Lobby's a Christian company, right? But they don't traffic in the Halloween stuff, presumably because it's satanic. There's witches and demons and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah. We would never want to get rid of that. We want to make every day Halloween. Hell, dressing up, you can wear a dress on Halloween. That's our shit. You know what I mean? Like Halloween's our type shit. Trying to act like we're coming for Halloween. No.
Yeah, Hobby Lobby's so Christian they got caught funding ISIS. Remember that happened?
Yeah.
they were buying
fuck Hobby Lobby.
They were buying black market Christian artifacts that were coming. They were being fenced by ISIS because they captured them. And then one of their many that's what ISIS does. They steal shit and sell it to buy more guns. So also, Thanksgiving's probably my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
Socialism does not cancel Thanksgiving. Socialism is everybody gets a turkey.
Everybody gets a turkey. That's right. Out of the back of a truck. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of this makes sense. Well, she went from like talking about the economy so bad, inflation so bad because of Joe Biden that no one can afford a turkey. Right. It's like where it started. And then somehow that turned into the left is trying to cancel Thanksgiving and Halloween and all of our traditions and just ruin all, forms of American commonality or whatever the hell. So, I mean,
all these things that they're saying are signs of a bad economy, that Santa's got better jobs, that people have better opportunities besides waiting tables, that the supply chain crisis is because people are we're importing the same amount of stuff. The problem is people have bought way more shit. We have the infrastructure to import because people have more fucking money. All the stuff they're crying about are champagne. My what's the old line from Friends? My diamond shoes are too tight. My wallet's too small for my 50s, and my diamond shoes are too tight. This is the shit we're fucking complaining about. Inflation is like, people are debating whether or not it's transient or whether it's a sign of anything or whatever. We don't know. No one knows. Economists make it up as they go along. But
yeah, but have you been to the gas pump, Mark? That's Joe Biden's America for you. Always the gas pump. Always got to bring up the gas pump.
I don't know, man. So tell oil refineries to stop catching on fire. I don't know what to tell you. Tell Venezuela and Russia to like Russia cut off natural gas supplies to fuck with Europe because they're mad about shit going on in Ukraine, and that's called this cascading series of bullshit. Where like it's not clear whether England's going to be able to keep houses warm this winter, and these are. Joe Biden doesn't have a cheap gas button to flip. He tried it. They dumped out the National Oil Reserve. That's about all he can do. But I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. Our first honorable mention is Mike Flynn for betraying the idiots in QAnon who supported him by pointing out that they are idiots. Mark, you want to walk us through this one? This is firmly in your wheelhouse here.
So that's the phone call that Mike Flynn had with Lin Wood. Lin Wood recorded it and put it out because he's mad at Mike Flynn. We'll talk about this more in a few minutes, but there's a call. Yeah. We'll play. I'll tell you in a second, Matt. Hold on a second. They're trying to make up because Lin Wood's mad at Mike Flynn for not publicly getting his back to defend him from Kyle Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse said he was crazy, had to fire him from his defense team because he was trying to use the trial to spread a bunch of election truther bullshit. And also, there's $2 million being fought over because Lin Wood GoFunded me $2 million for Rittenhouse's bail. Rittenhouse says that Lin Wood kept him in jail to fundraise for an extra 3 months. The money's available now because the trial's over, so the bail money reverts back to whoever posted it. Rittenhouse is saying he wants the $2 million because it was donated for him. Lin Wood says he needs to pay back legal bills for his services he provided to Rittenhouse. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, Mike Flynn has been mum on this, so is Sidney Powell. So Lin Wood's mad at them, so he recorded this phone call to embarrass Mike Flynn, and here's the phone call.
QAnon movement really is a movement that spun out of your digital soldiers. I'm tired of these QAnon people attacking me.
Maybe, I don't know that.
But you know some of them.
I think it's a disinformation campaign. I think it's a disinformation campaign that the CIA created. That's what I believe. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I think it is. I think it's a disinformation campaign. It's actually a very interesting article today out that was sent to me. I'll send it to you about how the QAnon movement has failed and all that. But I find it total nonsense, and I think it's a disinformation campaign created by the left and the types of people that can create
that's not
something
that.
like that.
That's it is.
Are the kinds of people that.
So there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, Flynn's origin story. He was director of the Defense Intelligence Agency before Obama fired him for being a lunatic, and then he was Trump's national security advisor. So him saying this is a CIA op, the QAnon is a CIA op, is really funny. Yeah. And it also calling the CIA left wing is really funny to me.
Right. That whole thing, it's like the FBI too. The FBI is super left wing now ever since Mueller or whatever. And it's just oh, you mean the Uber cops? Fucking, especially the shadowy, puppet master shit. But that's what I'm saying. It's also, and I brought this up a million times, but still, it's so true to me that the way they paint the left as being this ultra competent, covert ops, shadow network of intelligence agents and stuff like that, and at the same time we're the limp-wristed, weak-willed cuck snowflakes who get offended and they're too sensitive and all this type of shit. And it's it can't be both. Are we super commando, Antifa commandos, or
I want anyone who thinks the left is super organized to do any of this shit. For one, watch any congressional debate among Democrats, or two, go to any DSA meeting and watch the whole thing devolve into a 20-minute debate about whether a snack someone brought or ableist or something. Like, this is the idea that we could get organized. Is like, what? Come on, man. It's like nobody's up. It goes back to the old Will Rogers joke. They're like, I'm not a member of any organized political party. I'm a Democrat, right? This is a long-standing phenomenon. Left doesn't have the resources. Also, the left doesn't agree about a lot of shit. So, like, there's just
almost nothing.
Nothing.
And also, just like, it's anytime something happens that makes them look really bad or stupid, they're always like, the left just wants us to look bad and stupid. That's why this happened. It's like, no, you're bad and stupid and keep doing bad and stupid shit, which is what makes you appear to be bad and stupid. You know,
Antifa overserved me and made me shit my pants in my company softball team game. Yeah, it's always that shit. So the article he was referencing that he says proves QAnon's a CIA op. It was this guy who was saying that QAnon looks ridiculous because they're too focused on doing stuff like camping out in Dallas instead of shooting people that stole the election. So the article Mike Flynn was promoting is saying that we need to stop doing this stupid nonsense and start killing election.
Yeah.
Isn't
that guy that guy is like the guy you're talking about that wrote the blog or the post that he's promoting is like a hardcore like Holocaust denier or something like that. Like he's one of those.
He's
people.
A full-on Nazi. Yeah, full-on
right.
Nazi. Speaking of the people in Dallas that Mike Flynn was making fun of, kind of, there's still people camped out in Dealey Plaza that we told you about a month ago, still waiting for JFK's Jr.'s resurrection or whatever. And the funny thing that happened this week, where they were passing around a message on their Telegram channel about how they all lost their taste of sense and smell, i.e. they jump-started the COVID outbreak. But instead of just going with the think horses, not zebras thing, where the obvious conclusion must be the correct one, they think the deep state has shot them with a sonic weapon that has removed their powers of taste and smell. So that's fun.
To what end? Like, for what? Just to ruin their Thanksgiving? You've already ruined it by waiting on zombie JFK Jr. to come back in the rain in Dallas for 3 weeks. Like, why are we trying to strip them of their ability to taste and smell?
Because here's the plan, Trey. Because they can't taste, they won't know they're drinking soy milk, and they'll grow tits. That's it.
Oh, that's almost too genius, man.
That's my problem with conspiracy theory. Like, this goes like 9/11 trutherism or JFK. Any of them, basically, it's like there's always a much more direct route to get to your objective than whatever the conspiracy theory is. It's like they always lay out some convoluted way to, like, why wouldn't the deep state could very easily just kill this 100 people?
Right.
They don't have to do some like they just like just fucking walk up and shoot them. Like, what I don't I'm not the CIA's ideas guy, but come on. So we already explained. So we talked earlier about the Rittenhouse turned on Lin Wood. It's caused deep schisms in the QAnon movement because they were really celebrating Kyle Rittenhouse. But Rittenhouse has said he went on Tucker Carlson's show and said that Lin Wood was just using him, and he didn't like that. He said he was going on with us QAnon election fraud stuff and stuff we just don't agree with. So he's insane. He thinks he's God. He just says all these weird things. So now QAnon thinks that Rittenhouse is a deep state puppet. So like he said, Rittenhouse wants that $2 million to pay off his legal bills, but Lin Wood wants to pay himself for legal services for Rittenhouse. It's like I don't know who's going to get the money. I imagine Lin Wood's going to get it back because he says the tax law says he has to get it back because he's the one that raised the money. I don't know.
Well, so moving on, not every, full-on lunatic in this country is in Dallas awaiting the return of JFK Jr. Some of them are on Christian television saying wild shit. I don't know how else to set this clip up, but it is truly something else. So let's just get into it.
It's got everything. It's got aliens. It's got Satan. It's got reptiles. It's got fucking. And it's got her husband, Derek.
After Derek and I got married, one night, this other Derek appears in our bed. The real Derek is lying down next to me. Other Derek sits right up out of him. It startled me. I knew that was not Derek. And so I asked this critter, who are you? Because he clearly wanted to have sexual relations. And I said, he said, come on, I'm your husband. I said, who are you? And he had the nerve to claim to be Ahasuerus, Xerxes. Well, other Derek seriously wanted
Emperor.
to invite me to use my free will to do something that was going to pull me away from God. So this last time, I knew he was really desperate. And I asked him again, who are you? He told me the same answer, and I said, I am not going with you. This was an internal dialogue. Finally, I said, I've had enough. In my mind, I reached up. I grabbed his face, and I said, you are a liar, and Jesus is real. And I pulled that face off, and beneath it was a reptile. And he had little creatures with him this time. He brought...
She goes on to say
DMT. Yeah,
he had little halflings with him who were reptilian gargoyles, because I guess, he needed some backup in handling her crazy ass. I love that this show was, the Chiron was peddling something called the Great Delusion the whole time that she was telling this. It just seemed appropriate. But yeah, I'm sorry. What?
I like that was Derek sitting next to her, by the way.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. So she's like, I got to be like, why did you wake me up to fight this satanic alien reptile?
Yeah.
By the way, if you're a married lady and a higher being from some plane sends you a second Derek, I think it's party time.
Yeah. Hey, what more do you want? What's better than one Derek? Two Dereks, baby. Who cares if one of them's got a big old demon dick? That's fine.
It ain't cheating if it's two Dereks.
No, get old demon dick Derek in there. Go for it. But yeah, what was Derek doing the whole time this was going on, man? Was he just sleeping soundly, or was he just laying there just letting her? It's like she's got it under control. She's dealt with these gargoyle lizard demons a time or two. I ain't gonna worry about it.
He was thoroughly enjoying the 8 peaceful hours a day he gets away from this lunatic.
Do you know anything about her? I just watched that clip. Do you know who that lady is? Is she like a prominent Christian figure or something?
She writes like Christian self-help books about how to be a good, godly wife who submits to her husband and shit.
First things first, chapter 1, don't fuck Damon Dick Derek. That's the first thing you gotta know.
I like how calm she was about waking up to a changeling who looks exactly like her husband in her bed. She's like, hey,
wait a minute. This isn't right. You're not
it's like
Derek. And she calmly reaches up and pulls his face off, revealing some Stygian horror underneath, while dancing gargoyles, encircle the bed or whatever. And she's just like, not this time.
Every time I wake up in a horny H.P. Lovecraft book, I'm just very calm about it. She was like shooing away a reptilian demon, with less verve and panic that I would have like chasing a possum out of my trash can.
Right. Skit on out of here. Skit.
Yeah.
Her to an eldritch terror. Skit. Get out of here.
Yeah. Matt's raising the point in the messages that like there are satanic reptiles running freely in the world is a very, very prominent conspiracy theory. Is an element of QAnon as well. I mean, that's been a conspiracy theory for years. So she didn't even invent this. She just like she just read it somewhere and decided to go with it. Yeah.
All right. So you want to run us through this last one we got here before we get into Boebert real quick?
All right. So Biden nominated this lady named, I might butcher her name. Her name, Saleh Omarova. She was born in Kazakhstan. He was nominated to be like a head bank regulator, and everyone, it was a good nomination because she actually believes in regulating banks. So of course everyone fucking panicked about it. She must be a communist. and because she comes from communist Kazakhstan and isn't a huge fan of big banks. So that's the context for this video you're about to see of her confirmation hearing. And this is Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, which you'll know immediately when you hear him talk.
You used to be a member of a group called the Young Communist, didn't you?
Senator, are you referring to my membership in the Youth Communist Organization while I was growing up in the Soviet Union?
I don't know. I wanted to ask you that question.
Well, Senator,
There was a group called the Young Communists, and you were a member. Is that right?
I'm not exactly sure which group you're referring to.
Well, the formal name of it is the Leninist Communist Young Union of the Russian Federation, and it's also known as the Leninist Komsomol of the Russian Federation, and it's commonly referred to as the Young Communists. Were you a member?
Senator, I was born and grew up in the Soviet Union.
Yes, ma'am, but were you a member of that organization?
Everybody in that country was a member of the Komsomol, which was the Communist Youth Organization, because
it's their Boy Scouts, dumbass. It's their fucking Boy Scouts.
Part of normal progress in school.
Have you resigned?
Oh my God!
From the Young Communists?
She fled the country.
You grow out of it with age, automatically.
Did you send them a letter though, resigning?
What?
Senator, this was many years ago. As far as I remember, how the Soviet Union worked was at certain age you automatically stop being a member of that.
Could you look at your records and see if you can find a copy of your
Senator Kennedy, I don't interrupt. I almost never interrupt these, but
you always interrupt me, Mr.
No, actually, I don't.
Not
nearly as many times.
I want to pursue.
No, she renounced her Soviet citizenship.
Well, I understand that.
But did she send a letter? Did at any point she write a letter to the communists and say, just so you know, I renounce this. I'm an American now and a freedom-loving capitalist, and I renounce my communist leanings. Can we see a copy of that letter, please?
Look back at a letter you would have sent in 1991. Remember, it's the letter you sent, but you probably kept a copy, I guess. And I guess the letter would start, "Dear Communists."
Right. This ain't it.
It's been fun, but it's like, what the fuck? There's a clip that he actually goes, the punchline to that was he goes, I don't know whether to call you doctor or comrade. Yeah. And it's like, what? It was like, you're doing this shit got Joe McCarthy embarrassed in the 1950s. What the fuck are you? It's just so dumb and sad. And by the way, like, if you've ever met a Russian expat or an expat from any communist country, these are the most anti-fucking communist people you're ever going to meet in your entire life. They fled to another country for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway,
speaking of making up xenophobic horse shit, let's talk about Lauren Boebert. She's apparently got a new bit she's been working on about Ilhan Omar.
But let's talk about what started this 2-week span, because this is after the Rittenhouse verdict, and this is just, she's not trying to be funny is the important thing to know for this clip. Before we get into her actual malignant bullshit, let's just have a hit.
And I am so thrilled at the jury's verdict here. Now, I do have some colleagues on the Hill who have, just like me, offered Kyle Rittenhouse an internship in their office. And, Madison Cawthorn, he said that he would arm wrestle me for this Kyle Rittenhouse internship. But Madison Cawthorn has some pretty big guns. And so I would like to challenge him to a sprint instead.
Oh my God!
How about I offer this? Allow me to arm wrestle him on your behalf. I love a good.
For those of y'all who don't know, Madison Cawthorn is in a fucking wheelchair, and she apparently forgot. She's not trying to be mean to Madison. There, she is sincerely challenging a guy in a wheelchair to a sprint.
Dude, okay. She points out she's like, I feel like what she was just saying was, listen, he wants to do an arm wrestling. He wants to arm wrestle, but he's got some pretty big arms. So I was thinking we should use legs because, you know, I feel like I've got him outmatched in the legs arena. You know, like I think she's just thinking through weighing her odds here. But I mean, you know, he could sprint in a wheelchair, right? He just, you know, fire that up and smoke her ass, I'm sure. But yeah, it's
he is in great shape. Maybe he might do Paralympic stuff. I don't know, but like I think we can make the race. Just make it downhill and let's get it on. Anyway, after that, I don't know who's going to win the competition to get intern Rittenhouse, who I don't know how he's going to pass the security check to work on Capitol Hill, but whatever. She decided to pick, you know, rappers pick fights with people to increase
beef.
Yeah. She decided to start a beef with Ilhan Omar. I'm not clear whether she did it purposely or whether that video went viral and she didn't expect it. But because she's been doing this bit for a while, we'll get that second. But she decided to go after old Ilhan with some basic 2002-esque Islamophobia. Get the clip, Matt.
Ilhan story for you. So, the other night on the House floor was not my first Jihad Squad moment. So I was getting into an elevator with one of my staffers, and he and we're leaving the Capitol, we're going back to my office, and we get in the elevator, and I see a Capitol police officer running hurriedly to the elevator. I see fret all over his face, and he's reaching, and I'm like, what? The door's shutting, like, I can't open it, like, what's happening? I look to my left, and there she is, Ilhan Omar. Oops. And I said, well, she doesn't have a backpack. We should be fine.
Yeah, that's the end of it, Matt.
Right after that, she does say Jihad Squad again, though. Like she's like, you know, she just peppers that throughout. It's like, do you guys hear where I said Jihad Squad? Yeah, it was pretty good, right?
First of all, as somebody who works in comedy, I'm offended by how easy that audience is. Like, I would love to fucking. It's like if you did an hour-long set in Dallas in front of a bunch of goldfish, and you could just repeat "How About Them Cowboys" and give it up for the troops over and over again for the whole hour and murder. It's like, this is like, yeah.
So many of their like right-wing like comedy sketches and stuff that are about like black people are literally just like 35-year-old racist jokes or stereotypes that are not even reframed or anything. They just repeat them, and it just crushes on their, like, they're extremely easy to smash for as long as you're on the same side as them. It's unreal.
So that went viral and got her sort of embarrassed a little bit for a brief period. But CNN, she's apparently been doing this bit since at least September. CNN found a video of a fundraiser in September where she did the exact same joke, almost word for word. And before she got embarrassed, she sort of leaned into making her I'm calling it an act because she's doing a comedy act. She's basically made her Ilhan Omar beef her whole thing. She went on OANN last week and did this.
We have serious issues with a terrorist that is a member of Congress. She praises terrorists, and she married her brother husband, as I pointed out, and then her other husband, she contributed, she gave more than $1 million of campaign funds to. I think there's a couple other bookend husbands that go in there too, and then she wants to call me out on my marriage and my family. But hey, Dan, I just want to make it very clear. At least my family tree forks.
Well, you're not lying.
That's
Nothing
not the
she
bit.
said is false, folks. Go look it up. Everything she's saying is accurate.
You can cut off that. Everything she said, none of that myth about her marrying her brother is totally made up. It's some sort of misunderstanding about how Sharia works or whatever. And the $1 million thing is totally fucking made up. And first of all, the joke isn't family tree. Trees don't fork. Trees branch. That's the fucking joke.
Another fun fact about her family tree, Mark, she once crashed a Mustang into it while hammered on Boone's farm with a gun in her purse while her husband had his dick out. Anyway, right. She's just, Omar is like, she's just a Muslim. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole thing. Like it's literally just calling a Muslim American terrorist, like openly, and as a congressperson, just because they are Muslim, and it just plays like it's just totally fine. They're like, yeah, she is. Look at her. You can tell she's Muslim. She got all that Muslim shit going on, or she's got all that terrorist shit going on. I know a terrorist when I see one because it looks like that. That's what they think and how they feel. So it just rolls. It's like the same genre of people for whom saying Barack Hussein Obama was like a joke. It's like, but you're just saying his middle name. We're supposed to hear something you're not saying. Just fucking say it if you're going to say it. But anyway. At least she's actually saying it. But back to the elevator story, Omar tweeted, fact, this buffoon looks down when she sees me at the Capitol. The whole story's made up, which of course it is, because you can tell she's a coward by the fucking way she handles herself. And just for context here about what Ilhan Omar's life at work is like, at her swearing-in ceremony, Steve King and another dipshit rep, were making jokes about her having C4 under her hijab. At her swearing in. And Marjorie Taylor Greene did a viral stunt a couple years ago, you might remember, where she chased Ilhan Omar around the Capitol trying to get her to redo her swearing in on a Bible so it would count. Which is not, that's not a thing, right? Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be a Bible. You can do like whatever, the Constitution or fucking the Quran, whatever the fuck. Your own diary. There's no fucking rule about it. Yeah. Right. So anyway, Elmore had a press conference today where she played a death threat she got from a Boebert supporter who called her a dirty fucking Muslim. So that's the environment she's working in here. So Boebert did try to apologize at first. She tweeted this out, Matt, if you have it. And I apologize to anyone in the Muslim community I offended, yada, yada, yada. I reached out to her office to speak to her directly. There are plenty of policy differences to focus on without this unnecessary distraction. Okay, so when she did get Omar on the phone, she basically tried to do this same... Look, you and I are men. We're familiar with this construction of an apology where, like, you don't say you're sorry for what you did. You say, I'm sorry if you were offended. If it bothered, If anyone got their feelings hurt, then, my bad. But I apologize. But that's your fault. That's really your fault. If you allowed yourself to get upset by what I said... Honestly, you did that, not me. But I'm sorry you did that, I guess. I'm sorry for not. Yeah, I'm sorry for not being aware you're such a huge pussy. Is basically how that apologize. Right. And so she called up Omar and said all that shit. Omar said that's actually not an apology or some form of that, and demanded an actual apology. So and when Boebert was running her dumb mouth, Omar hung up on her. And then Boebert went and posted this video.
Of the Democrat Party. Make no mistake, I will continue to fearlessly put America first, never sympathizing with terrorists. Unfortunately, Ilhan can't say the same thing.
Yeah, fuck this lady. So someone dug up this. By the way, if you don't know Boebert's background, her husband was arrested for maybe showing his dick to some 16-year-old kids. He says it was he says it was his thumb through his zipper. It was a joke, but either way, don't do that to 16-year-old girls. Like, it's like everybody's like, oh, well, that's fine then. You're in a bowling alley, 16-year-old girls. What are you supposed to do? Not pretend your thumb's your dick? Like, I mean, it's either way, it's a huge creeper move. Yeah, her whole background's very whiskey tango, man. She's pretty white trash. Yeah. She he was arrested another time for beating her when they were dating. Which of course isn't her fault, but also she's been arrested a bunch of times. And someone put the stats together. She's the least educated member of the House, which is not necessarily I'm not going to get on her for having a GED or whatever. But she's been arrested more times than all the members of the squad combined. She's been arrested more than all Black House members combined. But here's the best fun fact: this guy says Lauren Boebert has been arrested more times than Tupac. Which just really hit for me. I mean, this is the context of her basically saying Ilhan Omar is a fucking criminal. So right. But to these people, crimes not what you do; it's what you're born as. So, all right. Well, let's get into this wild ass Florida race. What do you say? So, Charlie Crist in Florida's 13th, which is in the Tampa area, is vacating his seat. He's a Democrat, vacating his seat to run for governor. So that's just opened the lunacy floodgates. There's going to be primaries on both sides. And the GOP primary for this Florida congressional district is, you'll never believe this, pretty fucking nuts. So, by the way, I got married. Florida 13th includes St. Pete, and I got married in St. Pete Beach. Big fan of the Florida 13th, so I'm rooting for you guys to figure this out. But the leading Republican who's endorsed by Trump, her name is Ana Paulina Luna. So just to get her vibes, what she's about, she presents as sane, but says a bunch of crazy shit. And we'll play a few seconds of this campaign ad so you see what I'm talking about.
My mom chose life over abortion and decided to have me. I'm Ana Paulina Luna, and I'm living proof anything is possible in America. Growing up, my family struggled with substance abuse. We moved around a lot, and I even lived in a drug house. I survived a gang shooting and an armed robbery. But I never gave up, because being born in America is like winning the lottery. I joined the Air Force and found hope, helped rescue my dad from drug abuse and homelessness, and made stopping human trafficking the mission of my life.
All right, so she's got a touching personal narrative, but she does lean into the crazy. She says that she's only alive. Like apparently her backstory is her dad tried to get her mom to have an abortion because they didn't have money for a kid, and her mom said no and had her anyway. And then so she's proof that I don't know, abortion don't hit, I guess. She also, the human trafficking thing is obviously a shout out to QAnon. So fuck her for that. None of these people care about actual human trafficking. We talked about that before. None of them understand how it works. It's not like kids being shot through tunnels and like those pneumatic bank tubes or whatever. But I can't even sort out. There's like 8 members running in this race. But somehow she presents the same, but she's crazy. She knows just how to hit that Trump petty as shit vibe. If you got that video about the Trump rain video, Matt, she's complaining about Twitter.
Should not be given unfair advantages.
In a recent complaint filed to the Federal Election Commission, District 13 candidate Republican Ana Paulina Luna claims the social media giant Twitter is violating federal regulations by not verifying her account, i.e. giving her that little blue check mark. Her Democratic opponent...
So she's complaining to the manager of the internet that Twitter won't verify her. Just shut the fuck up. Who cares? That was from 2020 where she ran against Charlie Crist. She was a Republican nominee that time too, and she lost 53-47. So she probably thinks she can overcome that 6% this time with the backlash to Biden and so forth. And Trump endorsed her, so have a bunch of other Republican luminaries. So smooth sailing, right? And not really, because she got on Roger Stone's bad side for some reason. I think because he wanted his boy to win the primary and she got the spot. So Roger Stone dressed up as her for Halloween. I don't know if you have that video, Matt.
This Halloween, I decided to trick or treat as Ana Paulina Luna. Her real name is Anna Meyerhofer. She isn't Hispanic. These are not the fatigues she wore in combat. This is not the military-grade weapon she carried in combat. These are not the medals she won for valor in combat. In fact, although she was in the Air Force, she was never deployed outside the United States and never saw combat. In Florida, it's against the law to lie about your military service record. Trick or treat, Anna.
Stone Cold Truth is such a hilarious name for whatever that is that he does, his podcast or vlog or whatever it is.
Yeah. So last week, what really took this to the next level is she went to a bass fishing tournament as a campaign stunt, a campaign moment or whatever, as you do in Florida. And her husband is an Afghanistan vet who has like an emotional support dog. And his dog bit a kid really, really badly. The kid, the police report said the cop could see fact. Like that's how deep the bit. It was like a 4-inch wound. So I don't know whether they're going to sue or whatever, but Stone protege Laura Loomer, she's dubbed Ana Paulina Lunatic, solid burn. She needs to put her dog on a leash. They say people are a lot like their animals. In this case, Anna and her dog are both crazy and out of control. These bitches both need to heal. Now, if you're not familiar with Loomer, she's suing Twitter for giving her PTSD for kicking her off the platform. And she's the woman who chained herself to Twitter's office building in New York until they reinstated her. They didn't reinstate her, and she chained herself to the door in a way that it's still opened. So she was just chained to the door while people went in and out all day. So it was fucking just a classic Laura Loomer move. So like,
this is her husband's emotional support dog or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, maybe he finds it soothing to see children be mauled. You ever think about that? Like it seems like it's a poorly trained dog, but I mean, maybe
Yeah.
he was working exactly as intended. Now that's pretty wild. A child being mauled, that is not funny. But anytime I've ever seen a support animal with the little vest and stuff on, just clearly acting like, super shittily in public, like not being trained at all. That's just always been a source of humor for me. Like whenever you see a dog with a vest on doing some shithead stuff, it's funny.
Yeah.
Not mauling children. Mauling children's taking it too far. But
don't maul kids. But also, you're not supposed to pet service animals.
But the kid didn't, right?
Yeah.
The kid was just like running by. The way I read it, the kid was just running by the dog and had a ball. And dogs with balls, man. What are you gonna do? Dog sees a ball, he's gonna go for it. The kid was running by with a ball. Dog lunged for the ball, got his arm instead, and fucked him up pretty good.
Yeah. So it was the story of the dog fight that brought this race to my attention. But what really piqued my intrigue was a murder for hire plot that happened earlier this year in this race. So, none of these people are sane, right? So a few months back, Anna claimed this. You can play this video.
Florida politics. This is happening in a congressional district near Tampa. You have one candidate who says that her rival was talking about hiring a Ukrainian-Russian hit job.
I don't look at this like a loss, and I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, guys.
The race for Congress in Florida is not just getting heated. One candidate says it's getting dangerous. Republican Anna Paulina Luna says her Republican opponent, William Braddock, planned to have her killed. Luna filed a restraining order that says she...
So she said that. You're like, oh, well, I mean, this race is crazy. They're all lunatics. Maybe she's making it up, right? She filed for a restraining order against that guy, claiming he wanted to murder her. That sounds crazy, right? Couldn't be true. Here's what happened next. You get this audio clip, Matt? Well, there. So anyway, here we go.
And with that kind of money, I'm going to have 24/7 2 former Secret Service officers up my ass unless I'm taking a shit in the morning. And I don't want to hear this. I don't want to know about this, but I only have access to a hit squad too. Ukrainians and Russians.
Damn.
You did not fucking hear that from me.
I hear what?
But this shit is getting deep.
Yeah, so he called up this lady. These people all recorded each other. Please, if you're a Republican in 2021, assume everyone is wearing a fucking wire on you. That's the theme of this show, right? These people are snitches. So he called up somebody after midnight, as you do, and he said he had $500 million in foreign money coming into his election for a House race. $500 million. He was going to use some of it to hire himself protection so Anna couldn't kill him. But he's going to use some of that money to hire Ukrainian and Russian hit squads to take her out. So that went public. He dropped out of the race because he's got a little self-respect left. And she gave an interview where she said has good reason to fear for her life. And she alluded to some of it in her backstory about her tough upbringing. But listen to this list of shit she says she's been through in this interview.
Oh, Anna, thanks so much for sitting down with us. So I guess this is a long, sordid story. Let's kind of start at the beginning.
Do you get fast forward to like 154, Matt?
154.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to obviously get emotional talking about it, but it's horrifying. How are you supposed to feel about something like that?
Over politics.
For whatever motivation. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time.
Is that the part, Mark?
We were talking about
what?
obviously how upsetting it was to get that phone call.
Yeah.
What would you? I mean, did you have any interaction or relationship with William Braddock? Why would he feel that way about you so strongly?
No, and that's what was really disturbing is that I had never had any interaction with.
I don't. Maybe you can't find it. I'll just tell you what she says.
One time.
Don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. So
that, but I didn't personally.
she talks about, she goes to the litany of of trauma she's been through. She, at age 9, she was suffered an armed robbery. A fatal gang shooting she witnessed at school. Her cousin was murdered when she was a teenager, and as a young adult, she was a victim of a home invasion. Now, I can't verify any of this stuff. It's all, this is basically from her campaign website. Even the stuff that like Roger Stone was saying about what her real name is, like she doesn't have a Wikipedia page or even anything like that. So I don't know what he's talking about. I'm assuming that her white dad wasn't in the picture, so she didn't take his last name or something like that. But assuming all that's true, it wasn't just this guy. God's been trying to kill her since fucking day one, including her dad trying to talk her mom into avoiding her. Like, this lady is like her life, if it is true, is peppered with so much and like shit she's overcome. Trey, her grandma died of AIDS she caught injecting heroin. This is like Jesus. This is like Tina Turner's life story type.
This
shit.
lady is Florida incarnate, dude. I don't know. Maybe she is a good candidate down there. I think if all that shit is true about her horrific childhood, obviously I'm not gonna like shit on her for that. I think it's wild. Like, I wouldn't think those would be things that endear a person to the GOP base. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, like drug addicts and poverty and welfare and all that shit. They hate all that. You know what I mean? Like you should be coming to our side with that type of stuff. You know, we're the ones who give a shit. That the GOP just be like, well, why was she allowed to live this long?
Well, I think her childhood was Southern California, but
okay.
Also, but I think they love bootstraps though. So
they
she's saying
bootstraps. You're right about that. That's true.
Yes, I grew up in poverty, and my dad was a deadbeat, and my mom was a drug addict, and he was a drug addict, and my grandma was a drug addict, and I saw a bunch of people got shot, but I didn't need government help. This can only happen in America. It's one of those kind of things.
Yeah, but it might be. Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel so. First of all, I got, again, if all that's true, I got a lot of respect for that. But except unless if you then become a person who, you know, flips and becomes a small government ultra capitalist or whatever. Do you know what I mean? After going through something like that, like Craig T. Nelson, you know, says that famous quote from him where he was like, I was on food stamps. Nobody ever gave me a handout. You know, like, when you do that and just basically, you know, become your own worst enemy in that way, or just fight against the best interest of all the other people who are in the same sort of disadvantaged circumstances that you yourself were subjected to, that's when you become a fuckhead in my eyes, which seems like that's what she's doing just by virtue of running on the GOP ticket. So yeah,
but that's the American tradition, baby. You make it to the next level, then you pull the ladder up behind you,
so the ladder out, right? Yeah.
So the new money people don't mess up your good time.
Yes. Yeah. Amy DeKing says yes, they love bootstraps. Yeah. Anything boot related, really, but yeah, no, it's just everybody. Just one of the people running against her tried to, you know, order a Ukrainian hit squad or whatever the fuck, and then you got all this other it's just wild, like the quality of individuals who crop up in GOP primaries. Do you know what I mean? Like on our side, it's just like, yeah, you got a, you know, bisexual, black, socialist, hippie, basket weaver or whatever running, and that's like our version of you know, well, that's typical. Do you know what I mean? But on their side, it's fucking full bore homicidal lunacy.
Yeah, but the bisexual vegan isn't gonna put out a hit squad. They might try to put a spell on you, but that's about it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like that's our version of like as hardcore as it gets is that, and then with them, it's fucking, you know, firing rifles at rockets that represent communism in a park or whatever. Sword King says they love bootstraps because they're the ones fucking selling the boots and the straps. That's right. Well, on that note, I guess we will end. We had too much fun talking about dumb shit tonight, as always. It was a good time. We'll be back next week right here on Weekly Skews.